Hello YouTube family, hope you guys are having a great day. I'm coming to you with a brand new video. It's my first video probably in a few weeks, and I do apologize for that. I kind of got bogged down with some client work, and unfortunately client work kind of takes precedent over creating content. But I am back and I'm here with a new type of video. This is a video that I haven't done before, but I think it might be a cool addition to the channel. What we're going to be doing here is we're going to be recreating something that I created for a client. Specifically, we're going to be recreating an illustrated badge that was used by Adobe Live at Adobe MAX 2019 as a leave behind. It's something that they gave away at their booth, and I think they've also given it away during their live streams as well. So if you guys would like to, please hit that like button if you love this video. If you guys have any questions whatsoever throughout the entire process of this video, which is a bit long, I think it's over 30 minutes long, so I do apologize for that. But if you guys have any questions, please leave them down below in the comments. And if you guys are not subscribed, remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Without further ado, let's get started. All right, everybody. So here we have all 5 of the badges that we created. One for Illustrator, Adobe XD, Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, and Adobe InDesign. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take the Adobe Illustrator badge and we're going to recreate it. So I've got here a file already open. We have the final badge over here in full color, and then we have a grayscale badge over here. Now, if you guys have been following me for a while, you guys know that one thing I prefer to do is I prefer to do everything in grayscale first before I go in and actually do the fully colored vector badge. So we're going to get started. And what we're going to do is whenever I start working on a badge, I never start on the full outside of the badge. So if you look here on this, we have this gray outline on the back, and then we have a white one on this one. What we're going to actually do is we're going to focus on the main part of the badge. So I'm going to select this and just copy and paste it so you guys can see what we're talking about. And we're going to go ahead and use this as a guide. So I'm going to go in and just drag this down here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the rectangle tool and we're going to just draw from the center by pressing Option Alt, and we're going to get it right about there. I'm going to actually set it up to where it is set up correctly as we did with this original one. So I'm just going to grab the same measurements and apply it to this so that we have it about the same. So we're creating almost an exact replica. Now, the first thing that you'll notice is with the badge at the top, everything is perfectly rounded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the direct selection tool and I'm going to grab these top 2 points and I'm just going to go and round the corners 100% complete. So you can see up here, it shows 399.9996 pixels rounded. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to round the base here. I'm going to eyeball this and I'm just going to press Shift and hit the arrows up top until we get it to about where we're looking for. I'm going to say probably 50 pixels in total. Let's actually see if we were pretty close on that. Actually, we were exact. Okay, so it was exactly 50 pixels rounded on the bottom corners. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to leave this behind. We're going to go ahead, since we already created this, we have a copy down here. I'm just going to delete this for now. The first thing we're going to work on is we're going to work on the actual pen tool. Now, when I created this badge, this was the first piece that I ended up creating, and this is kind of like the mainstay of the badge. Once we get that done, then we're going to start working on the background. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, just so we can have a little bit of clarity, I'm going to click on this anchor or this line here just to get the weight. So we have 10 pixels, and we're just going to, from the center point, we're just going to press Option and drag out with Shift so it makes a nice straight line. And then we're going to go and get the ellipses tool. We're going to deselect that and I'm going to put it right on the anchor point here. And I'm going to click and I'm going to drag. Now, one thing I'm going to do, because I don't want to keep doing this where I'm going and grabbing pieces from the actual original badge itself, things are going to be a little bit off. They're not going to be exactly the same to what we see here in the final badge, and that's okay. Because the whole point of this is to show you guys how I went about constructing this badge. So what I did was I copied the little circle here, I brought it over to the left, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill that with white. So we're just going to go ahead and fill that with white. And now we've got the base of the little anchor pen tool image that we created. Now let's actually create the pen tool itself. So I'm going to start by just doing a rectangle box to create the base of the icon. All right, that's a little bit too big. We're going to bring it down a little bit. And again, if it's not exact, that's perfectly fine. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill it with white, or create a fill with white. And then I'm just going to kind of guesstimate the actual icon here. So I want to make sure that this matches up to the base. So I'm just going to go and copy the width of this, and I paste it onto this part here. That way it should line up perfectly. Yep, it did. Let's actually zoom in a little bit so you guys can see a little bit better. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add anchor points. And I actually just found out about this. If you go into Object and you go to Shape, I believe, no, it's Path, you can add anchor points. And so what it just did there was it actually added anchor points into the middle of each side of the rectangle. Sorry you guys couldn't see that. I've got a 49-inch screen. Only half of my screen is recording, so unfortunately I couldn't get that part of it. I do apologize. All right, so now we have this. So now what we can do is we can press minus on our keyboard to get the minus pen tool. We can go ahead and remove these points because we were not going to need them right now, right? So we're going to take the direct selection, select these, and we're going to press S to get the scale. And we're just going to drag these out a bit. Probably right about there. We're going to bring those down so we can kind of get close to a match to what we created in the original badge. Now, the instant thing when you look at this right here versus this, we can instantly see that there's one big problem. This is very pointed versus this is a lot more smoother and softer. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the direct selection and we're just going to change the corners a bit. I would say probably about 30. That might be a little too much, but you know what? I think we'll keep it there for now. And then we're also going to go up here, and I think just 10. No, we want to go just a little bit less than that. I'm going to say probably 6. And I am noticing one thing. Let me see if this is the exact same. Let's ungroup all of this so I can grab this specifically. Ungroup. I just want to make sure that we are getting something pretty close. Yeah, it's all 10. So for some reason, to me, this looks pretty light, but that's okay. All right, now the next part is super easy. We're going to take the ellipsis tool by pressing L on the keyboard. We're going to draw this out a bit. And we're going to make it the same as this base here. So I just use the eyedropper tool to do that. Make this a little smaller, something like that. Then we're going to get the line tool, and we're going to click and drag it up. All right, that's looking pretty good. Now, instantly I can also see that, yes, we did go a little bit too much on this. So we're going to bring it down to 20. And that feels about right. I am noticing one problem, that this probably needs to be longer a bit. So what we're going to actually do is we're going to select this and we're going to remove all the corners, all the corner radiuses from that. Otherwise, if we go ahead and let's undo so I can see, if we go and just click this and drag it up, what we've done is we can no longer control fully these corners. So that's the whole reason why I go ahead and just undo all the corners to begin with. So that way we don't have this problem. So let's go ahead and do that. And then let's bring this up. I'm going to bring it up with the shift arrow. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. All right, so let's bring this back to 20 pixels on the corner radius. We're going to bring that, yeah, that needs to be 5 on this one because 10 is a little bit too much. Yeah, that feels about right. And we're going to bring this arrow back up so it matches. All right, so we're feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good about this. I think this needs to actually be set to 10 pixels. I knew it. Okay, so these are off. So we're going to set these to 10 pixels. There we go. Now that feels a lot better. Let me make sure that everything else is set correctly. Yep, it is. So one thing that you should also notice, if you noticed the lines here were off. I took the same lines that I created down here, and so the strokes should have been about right. The problem was that I had the transform panel set to scale, strokes, and effects. When you have that checked, it's going to actually decrease the stroke or increase the stroke depending on how you're dragging everything out. So we're gonna go ahead and take that off so we don't have that problem, because we want everything to be uniform and we don't want any mess ups with this. All right, so we've got here the basic pen tool created. We're just gonna bring that down a little bit. The next part is going to be to create this, where we have our handles and we have our circle point here. Now, the way that I went about creating this was I just took a circle ellipses, I press Option Alt, and I click and drag. I drag it out probably about, we'll say, right here. And we're going to just remove half of this by selecting half of it, and there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this out. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. All right, so now we're getting pretty close to it. Now we're going to need to grab the rectangle tool again, not ellipses, the rectangle. And we're going to do the same thing we did like we did down here. We're just going to click and we're going to press Option and drag out from the center. That way we create a perfect square directly on the anchor point. Get it right about there. Let's grab this so we have that white little bit. We're going to drag another one out to the right. And then we want one more in the direct center. Just like that. Okay, so now we got that. And now we're just going to, let's actually do a little bit of cosmetic here. We're going to bring this down to 20. There we go. That feels a lot better. Those are a little bit too big. All right, so now we're just going to go and grab both of these. And we're just going to Option, Shift, and drag to bring it up to the top here. And that looks like it's about right. And we're going to group those together, and we'll group these down here together as well, just so it's pretty easy to manipulate. So as you can see, we've basically recreated this. Only thing that we're going to change is we're going to do 100 pixels over to the right and left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, I know there are faster ways of doing this. This is just the way that I've been doing it for years. And so I'm always set in my ways when it comes to stuff like this. Let's play around with the size of these. And we're going to bring those down to 20. No, we're going to make those 25. That feels about right. So let's do the same thing to this. And same thing to this one here. And with that, we have our centerpiece, the main part of our badge, or at least the foreground of our badge, created. So we're going to go ahead and group these together, and we're just going to move them off of our board for now. So what we're going to do is we're going to zoom out, and we're going to bring up, and I'm just going to copy it. I'm not going to actually just pull it up. So we're going to copy this up. And so now what we're going to do is let's go ahead and create this border that we have back here. We don't need it right now. We could wait for it, but let's go ahead and create it anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use offset path. And how you get to offset path is object, path, and then offset path. I have a keyboard shortcut set up to where all I have to do is do Command P, and I can bring it in there. So we're not going to do 10 pixels. We're going to do 30, no, 40, yeah, 40. We're gonna do 40 pixels offset. And by the way, if you guys haven't used this is one of my favorite tools. If you ever create sticker designs and you want to create that cool border around the edge, don't just create a shape and drag it out. Use offset path, because you can do a lot of things. You can go make it inside, and you can make it outside. So we're gonna make that to 40 pixels. Let's go ahead and just grab the eyedropper and do that. So now we have this nice border around here, but we don't need that right now. So we're just going to lock it. Actually, we're going to move this away because I just realized there was one big piece that we didn't create, that we need to create before we touch this background. So we're going to move this back down. So what we're going to now create is this nice, cool, wavy background here. And the way that I go about creating this, we're just going to grab the color here. And I'm actually going to show you, let me grab this, and we're going to just take this out. Copy, undo. So we can see here, we're going to go ahead and delete all this excess stuff. we see that this is how we went about, we have this background shape. We're gonna ungroup it, and we're just gonna actually get rid of all of these, or actually, yeah, okay. So we're gonna get rid of all of these. And what you can see here is this is the base shape. So we're going to go in and we're going to recreate this. So I'm gonna just move it over here for now. And I'm going to do it kind of like a mirror. So I'm just gonna actually just create one side of it, and then we're going to combine it into one. All right, so we're going to take this. We're just going to attempt to line it up similar to what we did here. And what I'm doing is, as I'm kind of trying to line up to where we have it over here. All right, and right there. But we actually messed up a little bit. We're gonna add an anchor point here. All right, and pop this over just slightly. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to copy and paste in front, Command F, drag it over here, and I'm gonna reflect it. And I just use a shortcut for reflect, Command R for that. All right, and then we have our shape, and we're going to use Pathfinder to combine it and make it into one. We'll go ahead and get rid of these little pieces, these little anchor points that we don't need. And so now you can kind of see that we've created the basis of this. Let's make sure that we make this about the same height, and we make it the same width. So we're going to copy our width up here. Go ahead and delete that because we don't need it anymore. All right, there we go. So now we have our basic shape. All right, so what we're gonna do is, the two pieces that we're not, the four anchor points that we're not gonna touch here are the top. So we're gonna use direct selection tool to deselect, and the bottom. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to add the curves. And there we go. So now we have the curves here. And what I did here was I just basically copied this, pasted it in front. We'll grab the eyedropper to just grab the color. And then this instance, I just clicked and dragged like this. I didn't necessarily do anything fancy or anything like that. I just repeated the step over and over. Let's grab the eyedropper tool again. Let's bring this in a little bit more. And for this instance, this is okay to do this because we're not worried about constraints. We're just worried about making sure that the top and bottom line up to each other. And the final one. And there we go. Now we have the basis of the back, the wavy part. So we're going to group that together. I'm just going to move it off to the side here. And let's bring back up our background. All right. And we're going to bring this back. Just like so. All right, and for this instance, because this is not going to be for web, this isn't going to be made into an SVG or anything like that, we're going to copy the background, paste it in front, and we're just going to create a clipping mask, just like so. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create the base, so let's grab that color there. And we're just going to click and drag. And instead of doing a separate clipping mask, we're going to copy this and delete it, and we're going to select this piece right here and just paste it in front, and it automatically will paste it into the clipping mask. Now, just to make sure that we have everything lined up, I am going to move this out just a little bit on each side and on the bottom. That way we make sure that we have enough coverage and we don't have some weird background elements peeking through. Okay, so now we have that. Now we can go ahead and work on these background pieces. So the way that I go about doing this is I just use the pen tool, and we're actually going to create the background ones, and then we'll see how we'll create the foreground ones. So we're just going to anchor point, create a straight line right about here and right about here. And again, this is not exact to what we created before. That's okay. And we're just going to click and drag this up just a hair. We're going to bring this up some. And we're going to bring these over. All right, and so what we're going to do is we're just going to select these individual anchor points, and we're going to round them out just like so. And there we go. So we have those, and we're just going to copy and paste this over. We want it to be symmetrical. We don't want to be asymmetrical or anything like that. And then to get these other ones, we're just going to copy, paste, just shrink it down, and grab the same color as the base. And just because if you notice, let's zoom in a little bit, you can just barely see a little bit of line there. So we're just going to tap these down just a hair so we can get rid of that. And we're just going to Option Shift to create a copy, reflect it, bring it to the front, and then we're going to line it up using the line tool to there. And so there we go. So now we have our basic area here set up, and we can go in and we can grab this front part, and we can drag it right to where we need it, just like so. And so I'm going to clean this up a little. So we're going to highlight all the stuff we want to just like lock into place. And we're going to tap this in a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And by the way, I love this new feature with the locked layers. Now you can unlock individual layers instead of having to unlock all of them. Love that feature. I think it's something ingenious that Adobe added. All right, now we're going to create this whole area. Now, one thing I'm not going to create is I'm not going to create the actual Adobe icon here to save us a little bit of time, because this video is getting over 20 minutes. But I'm going to create a line, copy it, paste it in front. We're just going to give it the same color as this. Whoops, I did not paste it into the correct one. Oh, it's because it's locked, so we're going to unlock everything. Paste in the front, there we go. And then we're going to grab an ellipses and create it just like so. And we're just going to paste this in here. Just like that. All right, so now we're not going to start on the background little elements here, these like stars and circles and everything. Instead, we're first going to do our type. So the typefaces I use in this are Polar 1 and Babus New. Both of these fonts are Google fonts. You can actually go and download them right now on Google Fonts. I definitely would. I love these typefaces. And I'm just going to go and copy these over. You don't have to see me type it out. That doesn't make any sense. We don't have to waste time that way. So we're just going to copy this over. And the same thing with these here. And so this will actually tell us if we need to change some sizes, which I think we do. Bring these down a hair. All right, so let's shrink this down. And this is probably where we can actually go and increase some sizes of some other elements. Okay, so that tells me that we need to actually increase this size here. And we're going to increase this size here. Hopefully it will line up perfectly. There we go. Looks like it's a little off, so we're going to go ahead and delete that. Copy, paste in front, reflect, and then align here. Perfect. There we go. That feels better. We're going to bring these up just slightly. All right, so now we have our type in here. And now we can go in and create these extra elements. So what we're going to do is we're going to first go and create the star, since that's the more difficult one, or the thing that most people feel difficult. So we got the star tool, and we're actually going to press the down arrow to make it to where we only have 4 points. Now you can play around with this by pressing Option or Control. You can actually control what you're expanding. And so we're going to expand the outer points. We're pressing Shift Command to do so. And now we have our basic shape. And let's actually pull this down here so you guys can see it more clearly. What we're going to do is we're going to select the outer points, and we're going to round those. I would say about 20. Yeah, 20 looks right. And then we're going to select our inner points, and we're going to go probably 200. No, we're going to go to 150. And that looks about right. All right, so we have that. That's going to be our star shape. And then we're going to start laying this out. And I'm going to look at the left side, you know, somewhat close, so we can go about getting this just right. And I like to rotate things. And you can also use other things. Like I actually have Astute Graphics plugins. And so one thing that I could do is I could go through here and actually fill up the space with the plugin, with the fill space plugin. But I don't necessarily want to do that. So I'm just going to eyeball it. And that's how I basically went about doing all this. So we're just going to quickly do this. I'm going to try and do it in a quick manner so you guys can kind of see like how I do it, as well as like see how sometimes it's just eyeballing and making sure that everything fits the space properly, and things like that. So I think we're almost done with these stars. Bring this over here, make this a little smaller. Oops, too small. So let's bring that up. There we go. I think we got almost all of them. Let's actually grab the small one here. So it's not going to be exact, but it's pretty close. And we're going to grab one star for over here. And you'll notice that this is the only part of this that's not symmetrical is actually these background elements. So we're going to go and take the ellipses. And we're just going to start putting those in here. And then we're just going to, and this is one way that you can make sure that everything's going to line up and it is going to be symmetrical, is you can grab this small mound here, copy it, paste it in front, reflect it, and just drag it over here. And then you can just delete that because you don't need that. All right, and so now those are lined up. So let's go ahead and quickly add in some of the ellipses. Make sure that they're the same color as the stars here. And again, I'm doing it differently in this version than I did it originally, and that's okay. Because if I try to match every single thing up, this would be a super long video, and I don't know if you guys would even watch it. So that's why we're trying to do this. And hopefully my camera is not going to shut off on me, because sometimes it does in these long videos. It's one of the reasons why I don't do these as often, is because sometimes my camera will shut off on me. And I'm hoping that is not going to happen. So far, things are going pretty good, I believe. Of course, I could be saying that and my camera shut off on me at some point, and so I'm not going to have a video for this, but that's okay. All right, and we'll add just a couple more of these small ones. All right, and there we go. So now we basically have the entire badge recreated, and the only last part that we're going to do is we're going to grab this back shape, and we're just going to make it into a, let's see, what size did we do this? I think we did 10. Yeah, let's do 10. We're going to do a 10 stroke all the way around, just to give it a little bit more pop. We'll just make it white for now. All right, and there we go. So now we've created it. Now we can go in. Let's just go and add the actual colors that we used back here. And I'm not going to go into, how I picked the colors, except for just that these are colors associated with Adobe Illustrator and everything like that. And I'll actually show you, I'll try to show you before we finish here, how I actually came about it, show you the working file if I have it pulled up. One thing that you can also do is you can actually go and select this entire thing here. And you can go into advanced options in your recolor artwork panel. And you can actually change. So we know that this has the pen tool. And actually, I think we might be able to. Actually, let's undo that. Let's go and recolor artwork. No, it's not going to do that. Okay. I thought I might be able to get away with something. Actually, I might still be able to. Yeah. So if I go in here, and I go to color swatches, as long as I have the colors and the swatches here, I can easily just go in and switch those out. I think that's the wrong one though. Yep, it is. So I thought this was going to be a lot faster to show you guys, but it's actually turning out not to be. But this is a fun way that I go through and recolor my artwork from grayscale. There we go. I think this is the right one. I think so. So that's one way that you can go about recoloring everything a little bit faster. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's not. It depends on, you know, how your illustrations are set up and everything like that. So, but this is basically how I went about creating this illustrated badge. Hopefully this helped you guys. It inspired you guys to create your own. And hopefully you even went through and recreated this with me. That would have been really cool if you guys did. Let's grab this. And so this is basically how I went about creating this badge. So we started with nothing. We went through and recreated pretty much almost everything with this badge. And this is where we finally ended up. Now I'm actually going to see, this is actually the different options that I was playing around with. You can actually, this was the original sketch for the badge. And this is how we kind of got to where we were. You know, I played around with so many different options when it came to color, seeing what worked, seeing what didn't. And ultimately I landed on using orange and figuring out the best way of doing that to really showcase the Adobe Illustrator badge. And you can even see here with the Adobe XD Repeat Grid, this was like the first concept I ended up trying. It didn't work properly. So I went in and tried a different one and it did. So you kind of like play around with this. You figure out what works and what doesn't. I mean, even here you can see how I was like trying different colors and using maybe even like little orbs and stuff like that. Some things work, some things don't. So, but you learn, you really push yourself when you do stuff like this, and it's fun. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this video. Hopefully, you know, it went pretty smoothly. There was no confusion. I tried to go through and kind of touch on every single thing that I was doing throughout the whole process. But if you guys have any questions, like I said before at the beginning of the video, if you have any questions, definitely leave them down below in the show notes. And if you guys like this video, remember to like it. Remember to subscribe if you guys are not subscribed, and turn on notifications. And if you also know someone who might enjoy this video, please share it with them on social media or wherever it is that you might share it with them. I would really appreciate that. If you guys would like to share anything that you created during the whole process of watching this video, please do so on my Discord server. You can find the link down below in the show notes. And I might even be doing a new giveaway in my next video. So stay tuned for that. There might be a little giveaway where I have to look to see if I have a pack of these stickers, but I might actually give away one of the sticker packs that I created here with all 5 of the illustrated badges. So hopefully, you know, I can find a pack. I think I have one somewhere, but I'm going to do a nice giveaway to share with all of you. I hope you guys have a great day, and always remember to stay passionate, stay positive, and stay creative. That's it for me. I am out. I am done. Whew, this was a long video. All right. Bye.